Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name's Kyle, and for today's Tools Day video, we're gonna talk about my tool belt, so let's get into it. So it's been about a year since I did a tool belt video, and believe it or not, people are obviously always coming to the channel, new followers, and maybe they haven't seen that video. And I get the question, especially from young people, what kind of tool belt should I get? And should I spend a substantial amount of money on my tool belt? Well, the answer for me is always, you buy once, cry once, but there has to be a limit, right? You can't just go out and buy the best of everything. I do, however, think that your tool belt as a carpenter or a tradesperson should be a perfect complement of what you're doing and maybe who you want to be, or just in general, like, do you want to be comfortable? Do you want it to last a long time? Do you want to spend your money wisely? So I've been rocking the Diamondback bags now for about probably 2 years, a year and a half or so. And the first video that I made, which I will throw a link up to that video if you want to go check it out, was the Grande XL pouches. Now, there were some things about those bag setup that I loved, and there were things that I did not like. Now, if you've been following for a while, you probably know that that setup for me, the biggest downfall was the pouch size. So I'm wearing the bags that I currently use on the daily, and these are the new Grande bags, and we'll get into them, but I just wanted to kind of do a little bit of a comparison. These are the Grande XL bags that I was using, and you'll notice there's a cascading set of bags that you can use, and they're all fairly, what I would consider small for what I was looking for. Now, this is a pretty well worn bag. With that comes a nice stretch. So it takes a little while for Diamondback bags to get stretched out. But once they do, they get very pliable and very comfortable. Why did I not like these? Specifically, I use large fasteners, so this is not applicable to everybody, but as a framer, typically we're using a lot of nail gun strips, we're using a lot of hand-driven nails, and so with that, I like to have a bigger opening, a bigger, bag that you can just throw all of that stuff in. And so I actually worked with Diamondback to come up with a set of bags that were very similar to the Occidental fat lip framer. So I used to wear those, and I liked things about that setup as well, but not everything. And there's a very common theme in, I guess, our industry, is it seems like most tools are made with good intentions, but they always fall short somewhere. And I think that is the important thing to remember, is that no tool is perfect. And even the Grandes, I think, after using them for about, I don't know, maybe 6 months or at least the whole season this year, there's things I would like to update for maybe a version 2. So the biggest thing that I was really after, and I'm gonna set these wrangles down, is this side right here on my pouch. These are the side of my bags that I use for all my fasteners typically. And when I'm using these big 20 pennies, or we even get into when we're framing our roof system, we've got 60 penny nails. Those are big fasteners. So if you wanna carry many of them, you either have to have a monster bag, or you don't really have the room to get in there with your hand, which is what I encountered with the Grande XL. These are a lot more open. It has more of a fat lip framer opening like the Occidentals that I really liked, and they stay open. So my hand is unobstructed to get in there and grab, a handful of fasteners. Now, I'll show you how many fasteners fit in this thing, and the important thing to remember is that even when I load this up and I go out to frame a building for the day, they are very comfortable. So I don't feel like the weight is just weighing down on my hips like a cheap bag does. So that's a very important thing to remember when considering your tool belt, is not just the setup and what tools fit in there, what fasteners fit in, but the actual belt around it and how it fits on you, because you're gonna have these on all day. You don't wanna pull them off at the end of the day and just feel like a 70-year-old man that's been working hard his whole life. Like, you wanna pull them off and to feel still somewhat refreshed. The other thing that I really wanted to change from the Grande setup that I was using was that, and I'm gonna grab these again, is you can kind of see, it's a culmination of a bunch of smaller pouches, and they kind of cascade down. Now, what's nice about this is if you're like, let's say you're a residential carpenter and you're going, in and out of people's houses and stuff, things they kind of, I guess, kind of mold down to your legs, and they don't stick out very far. So with these, because they're a little bit wider, they do stick out a little bit further on my hips, which mean that if I was gonna wear these and go be a trim carpenter, I might be brushing up against a finished casing or something a lot more, or a better chance of that happening than maybe having a pair of bags like this that cascade down and they stay real close to your hips. But this didn't really apply to me, and it doesn't apply to a lot of framers out there. Guys that I've talked to, they like the ability to have a more simplistic pouch design that's gonna give them more room for their tools or for a lot of fasteners. So that is mainly my fastener side of my pouch, but the same thing kind of held true on what I would call my tool side. So I'm actually left-handed, so it's weird. I'm ambidextrous in a sense that I do usually use my right hand for my snips. I do hammer with my right hand, but in my life, in athletics or anything, I'm always a lefty. So regardless, all of my tools end up going on my right side, and I kind of had the same issue with the pouch setup of the Wrangles, is that I didn't really need a ton of different pouches and slots for screwdrivers and all these weird tools. I'm pretty basic. I wanted simplistic and I wanted comfortable. I wanted to be able to throw my snips in and not have to put them in a specific pouch. I wanted a spot to just throw my chalk line. So with the gRRandes, I love it. And everybody I've talked to that has gone out and used these, they love them. So if you're interested in, maybe looking at the gRRandes, I'm not gonna talk about the exact construction of the Diamondback or the fact that they're American made and all that good stuff. Like, you can go check the link down below, and I'll put the link to this bag setup specifically. It's in the $400 range, which is really not a lot of money, guys, when you're looking at the fact that these are gonna last, and there's story after story of these bags from Diamondback, lasting 20 years. And that might be a stretch. I don't know if it's 20 years, but I've seen some bags that guys have had literally their entire career and they're still kicking. But I have no reason to believe that they're not gonna last me for another 10 years or so. I literally have not had an issue with the construction or durability of them. But with that being said, what I thought I would do is kind of just show you some of the changes from last year's video tool-wise, which is not a lot, but just to kind of go through the tools for anybody that didn't see that video and wanted to see what's in my tool bag here at the end of the building season for 2019. Now we're gonna start at the top of my left side, and that is my tape measure. I've been using the WideBlade since they sent it out to me, and when I saw this at MPS, I knew I was gonna want it because there's a lot of features I liked about the Milwaukee blades I'd used, but more importantly, I really liked the Stanley FatMax, and this really simulates the FatMax. They claim a 14-foot standout. Now, I don't really do this very often because I don't need to, but that's 12 foot right there, and I'm stood out really nice. Now, if you guys have used any other tape measure, usually 12 feet, they claim 12 foot and it doesn't get out there. And if you have any breeze, it's not gonna happen. But they claim a 14-foot standout on this tape. And I'm always a little bit, confused what they mean. Is it straight out? Is it at a 45-degree angle? And I'm about at, I don't know, maybe a 20-degree angle. And that's like 13 feet right there. Regardless, for me, I measure and cut a lot of 16-foot lumber, 18-foot lumber. And if I'm at one end of the lumber pile, I can get this and I can stretch it out and grab the other end with no issues. And that's why I really like this tape. It has had, it's been used every day for the last probably month and a half and no issues with it. So there you go. If you're interested, I'm gonna be putting links to all these tools down below if you're interested. This has got the magnetic tip. It's held up really good. And the nice thing is they've gone to some very compact tapes over the years, and it fits very nicely in the Diamondback tape holder, which is very hard to do with some of the FatMaxes, particularly like a 30-footer or so. Now here we've got the Martinez square, which you know, is always a lot of controversy because who should spend 250 bucks on a square to make a square line? Well, I think it's a lot more than that, and I've got a whole video I think I did about this square. It's pretty nice. It's got a lot of features, and it looks still as sharp on the edges and as new as it did the day I got it. So I've been using this now for, I think probably about a year now, and you'll notice the tip is just as sharp as ever. The edges are just as sharp as ever, and that is because it's titanium, not aluminum. So once again, you buy once, cry once. You take good care of your tools, this thing's gonna last, and it's a nice precision measuring tool. Mark knocked it out of the park on this, so not for everybody. You don't have to go spend 250 bucks, guys, but I love it. Okay, now here we've just got basically 20 penny nails. I've got a couple spots for pencils, which, you know, pretty standard, and I don't ever keep anything else over here, but you could probably get your knife over here if you wanted to. I just feel like it makes it more prohibitive to grab my pencil out if the knife is in there. So I usually keep this empty, and it's just a good spot to grab your pencil. Now we come down here, and what you'll notice is that to get to this lower pouch, I don't really have to tweak, I don't have to bend way over, which was another thing that I had to do with the Wrangles because of that cascading pouch. I always was like, you know, bending way over to grab that last fastener at the bottom of the pouch. And so this is usually just a place for me to put screws. I'll throw strips of nails, and I've been rocking this little Milwaukee 4.5-inch square. It's just an aluminum square. I'm sure it will hold up very well because I really only use this for my trim details. It's super handy, and believe it or not, I'm sure Mark will be coming out with his own trim square. We talked about it a couple times, and yeah, but Milwaukee I think did a great job on this guy, and I've been using this lately. So that's kind of the left side of my pouch. It's mainly fasteners and my tape measure because that's just the way it works. I write with my right hand, so your tape measure is in your left hand, hence on the left side of my pouch. Before we go to the other side of the pouch and talk about my tool side, I wanted to make a quick mention. People always ask me what hearing protection I use, and it's not a part of my tool bags, but it's something that you should have every day on site is hearing protection. These are IsoTunes Extra, and I'll actually throw a code down below in the description if you want to pick up a pair. They're OSHA approved, so they cut down on the noise, and you can save 10 bucks if you use the code that I'm going to throw down in the description. But let's get back to the tool bag. Now let's go ahead, we'll look at the right side. And this is where most of my hand tools are going because I use my right hand. Got the hammer holster, which is a thing that I love. I'm not a fan of reaching around to your back to grab your hammer out of a loop, but I know a lot of guys that do. Heck, Greg on the crew and Zach, they both have rear loops and they like it. So I think it's just a preference thing, but once you use a sleeve, it just is so handy, man. Whatever you're doing, it's like you're a freaking knight in the medieval times and you're just, you know, taking your sword out and going to battle. So I like that. People always ask me if the Martinez, this is the curved grip, it doesn't have an issue going in and out. Does it stick a little bit? Yeah, but it doesn't, I mean, it doesn't bother me. What I've got here on the top is a space just to store all of my bits. And, you know, we run across different applications where obviously you're needing different types of bits. T25, square heads. I don't know, this is a 7/16, whatever, I don't know. Basically over time, you figure out what bits you need, and I just keep them in this top pouch that really, I do kind of wish my old bags had a flap, and I think you can get the hideaway flap on the Diamondbacks if you custom order them. But this is the mule on the right side, I should say. So this is the Grande setup, which means when you buy the Grande bags, you get it like this. It's an ox and a mule, which, as you can imagine, the pack mule carrying a lot of weight, that was the whole thing or the thought behind these bags. So if you're just wanting to buy one or the other, you don't have to buy both. You could buy an ox, you could buy a Wrangle. So that's the cool thing about the Diamondbacks. They've got a general setup you could buy, or you can just mix and match them. Anyway, back to this, you know, then I've got this big pouch once again that is just a cavernous place to throw my hand tools. I don't usually carry around a whole lot, but what's nice is I can fit a drill in here if I need to. If I'm doing something where I'm gonna be maybe climbing around, I can get a drill in here pretty comfortable. So it's big enough to do that, which I do like, but typically it's gonna store my snips. I've got a little punch here, and I've got a flat bar, which is for removing trim nails usually after I've messed up. You're not gonna see a PryBar typically in my pouches because once again, the PryBar only comes out if I mess something up, but there is a nice loop here in the back that a PryBar does fit in and is very kind of out of the way and doesn't get in when you're climbing around. It doesn't grab on anything. So that tucks away nice. But Diamondback, like the hammer sleeve, I don't think I've got it on these, no. I've got another set of bags where you can actually get a PryBar sleeve that comes in on this side, and that's what these hooks down here are for. So that's a cool thing if you want that, but I don't use a PryBar that much. Continuing here in the front, you got a place for your knife, and then this thing is really handy. You can see it's definitely been used. This is where I hang a drill. So the last pouch down here is just, once again, this basically mirrors the other side of my setup, and it's a fairly large pouch that I will keep trim nails in, roofing nails, and I usually just store my Tajima chalk line in there. So, you know, not a whole lot has changed from the tool side from last year. The tape measure, the square, the mini square from Milwaukee. I just wanted to do this video more or less to kind of, you know, give Diamondback a good shout out because, you know, I helped them design these bags along with some other guys. And I think they're a great fit for somebody that's in the framing side of carpentry, somebody that wants a simplistic design, not looking for all those, you know, multitude of bags cascading down your hips or needing all those different slots or places to put those hand tools. Like, this just works really well for me. But the other cool thing is I do get to the point sometimes where I really wish I had another pouch, a place to put, let's say, a roofing fastener or whatever, some bulk fastener storage. And what Diamondback has are these DB sacks, and I think they come in different sizes. I don't know what size this is. This might be like the 1 quart or something like that. But what's really cool is, you know, they have the drawstring on the top, so you can just cinch them up when you're done with them. But it's got a nice wide mouth design that you can fit your hand in, no problem. And like for us, like, I'll put roofing screws in here because a lot of times when we're roofing, we don't need tools. We just need a drill and we need fasteners, and we just go to town putting screws in all the metal. And they've got these nice clips. So if I've got my bags on, and let's say I just need to add a bunch of framing screws or whatever, I can just throw it on my pouch, and when I'm done, I pull it off, I throw it in the trailer, and I'm good to go. And so I'm not buying or not needing to carry around extra baggage all the time just because it's part of my setup. I've got a simplistic design in the Grande that can carry everything I need, and when I need to add additional stuff, you just grab a DB sack and clip it on. You know, you've got the carabiner hook, so you can just hook it right on the edge of anywhere on your pouch. So it's a really nice system the Diamondback has, and everything seems to be very well made. So that's really it for the tool bags, guys. I thought it was appropriate to do it here now that we're through the season, and I can definitely tell you after a full season of using the Grandes, they're great, and I'm proud to be a part of that bag setup. The only thing that I think is, now that I got this mini square, whether it's the Milwaukee or a future Martinez, I'm thinking a nice slot right on the edge here would really do me good, because this thing kind of just gets lost in my pouches. It's so tiny. It never has a place. I haven't found that place yet, but a nice slot to go right here I think would be perfect, and it wouldn't hinder access to this pouch or access to this pouch. If anything, it will stiffen up the lip and keep it open for me even better. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of the future videos. Turn on the bell notification and all that good stuff. I appreciate your support. And if there's something that you would love for me to either talk about, review, or just in general make content about around the trades, I would be more than happy to do that if I can. So we'll catch you guys on the next video. Thanks a lot. Now, in case you guys were wondering just how many nails you could fit in a set of Grande bags, I didn't even totally fill this thing up. These are 20-penny ring shank nails, and this is what we frame mostly our post-frame buildings with. These are made in America. I think the last family-owned American nail company there is. That's what they told me. Maybe one day I should drive down there and take a look at their factory. They actually are probably less than a half hour from my house. But is this ridiculous? Because I'm still going, guys. There's a lot of nails in here. There you go. That's a lot of nails. They fit in here, and even when it's fully loaded, you feel the weight, but because it's a very well balanced system, it doesn't overload you.